Shalom. First, I want to start by giving infinite praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and teach well, do 100% truth and sincerity. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect, which in is the Israelite foreigners that were scattered amongst. To you and only to you I say Shalom. It's your brother Haran here from the Great Millstone DC branch, coming to you with an impromptu lesson through the spirit and truth of Yahawah bahasham yahawashi. And jumping straight into it, it's gonna be a quick one, a quick hit. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 8 and verse 1. It says, "And he answered me, saying, The Most High, Yahawah, bahasham yahawashi, have made this world for many, but the world to come for few." And yeah, all they that seek to be a part of this world here, okay, you're just walking down that broad access point, which in the mass majority, follows after the broad ways, which in where everyone goes to be destroyed, right? Let me get that. Salaki, while I get it. The water yahawah bahasham yahawashi. This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 13. And this backs up the point how, this world here is for many, but the world to come is for few, because what? Only the few are going to walk the straight gates into the kingdom of heaven. Just like in 2nd Esdras chapter 7 goes into, this path here is a one only path, which in, only one man could go in at a time. All right. This is the straight gates into the kingdom of heaven, which in the Lord, Yahawah bahasham yahawashi, has ordained for his men to walk down that path, while the rest of the world, walk, in the wide or the broad, the broad points. Because what? They see the multitude of sinners, going, and, they can go all together, So Matthew 7 and verse 13, it says, "Enter ye at the straight gate." Hey, yeah, man. You got to enter at the way which in the Lord, Yahawah bahasham yahawashi, wants you to go. He said, if any man come up any other way, he's a robber or a thief. He said he is the door. He is the way. He is the life. And this is something you have to truly consider and understand when you come to serve the Lord. Okay? And yeah, although you may be tempted to follow after the multitude, to go the broad ways, you still use the scriptures to guide your life to stay on track, man. Because the straight gates is the way. Okay? So like it says, Matthew 7 and 13, "Enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction." That broad way, that wide gates, it's gonna lead the masses into destruction. But if you put yourselves on the straight gates, walking and taking that trial, that fiery trial which in the Lord is gonna put you through while walking and being on the straight gates, man. Don't think it's gonna be an easy goal, to go the straight way. Nah, it's gonna be a fiery trial, man. But then you have The devil was Satan himself. Okay, the counterpart is Satan trying to knock you off course, man. Alright, these spirits that are created, to go contrary unto yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi. Alright? And these are those that are walking that broad way. So you always got to reconsider, are you truly walking and going the straight way, which in the Lord Yahawah bahasham, yahawashi has ordained and commanded us to do so. Because if you are, your life depends on it. Remember that. He's commanded us to go down and go the straight way, that way. When it comes down into it, you find life. So like it says, enter ye at the straight gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. And yeah, it's many, that go into that broad way. Which in, like the scripture started off with, this world here is for many, but the world to come for few. Right? This world here, Esau's world, is made for all the wicked to benefit. But the kingdom of heaven, which in the Lord is ushering in, day by day, you're going to start to see it eventually when he redeem us out of this place. And that world that's about to come, man, well, that, it's about to go. This age is about to be passed away. And the age to come is going to be forever, man. All right? Esau's rulership is not made to go past his bounds. So all they don't want to be a part of this world here. Which in, all the many that thinks that this is going to carry on for forever. They're going to have a rude awakening when yahawah bahasham, yahawashi steps in and brings his prophecies fully, into fruition. Brings it to pass, man. All right? And this is why he's telling you, man, is to stay on the straight gate. Because this is the only way into the kingdom. Through yahawah bahasham, yahawashi. Okay? Just like it says, Matthew 7:14. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. This is a narrow path, man, that goes in between the dangers that are set before it. All right? This is not going to be an easy walk. This is not going to be a skip, jump, and a hurdle. But rather it's going to get real, man. Because you're going to have to keep the faith, man. Keep your beliefs that you have for yahawah bahasham, yahawashi, when the rest of the world, which in that many, seems to be profiting on this side. Right? But what? If you suffer patiently and go through the things which in the Lord yahawah bahasham, yahawashi has ordained for you to go through, you shall receive a greater reward. By going down that straight gate. Even though narrow is the way, like the Lord said, but it's which leadeth unto life, man. And few there be that find it. It's not always hard to make it out here in this world. But what? To find the kingdom of heaven, man. To find that straight gate that leadeth unto the kingdom of heaven. It's a hard thing to find, man. To find this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is the hardest thing that you Jakes, you Israelites and Israelite phonies don't understand. The rarity of which in we have been revealed unto. But what? It was ordained through yahawah bahasham, yahawashi for us to receive this way. For us to walk down the straight gate. To go the narrow way instead of the broad access way. It's like he said, this world here is for many, but the world to come for few. And Lord's willing, we're able to be partakers of the first fruits. Okay? And to be a part of that few. to be a part of that remnant, which in the Lord yahawah bahasham yahawashi said that he will save. Okay, so like you said, jumping back into it. As a matter of fact, let me hit this that narrow path before I go back to 2nd Esdras 8. Okay, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall. And don't that sound, symbolic that word narrow keeps coming up? That straight gates is what leadeth into the kingdom, man. This is that narrow path which in, the Lord yahawah bahasham yahawashi is talking about, through the prophets. Okay. Esdras had a vision of this dream, man. Of the straight gate, which in, like it says, the entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall. Like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. Both agents are cleansing agents, but ultimately they can destroy you. And this is why you should be going down the path which in the Lord yahawah bahasham yahawashi ordained for you to do so, because it's symbolic. In the time of Noah, everyone drowned through the flood, man. But this go round, it's gonna be a flood of thermonuclear fire. And it's a dangerous thing that you're gonna have to go through. Okay, but like the scripture says, like the scripture says, and one only path between them both. This is the only path that you can walk down to stay on track, so that you don't fall deep into those deep waters. Okay, so that you're burnt alive through that fire. All right. It says, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. And this is why the Lord yahawah bahasham yahawashi tells you, man, to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Because what? It's going to come down to it, which then, no one can hold your hand in this walk, man. Yeah, the Lord has given us a brotherhood, to lead us, guide us. But eventually you have to, gird yourselves up like a man. And, do all you can to stay on the straight gates, man. This is not for the many, but this is for the few. The Lord yahawah bahasham yahawashi ordained for us to what? To have an opportunity to face these dangers by walking down this path, which we have been led through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and have been given that gift of faith. That way we uphold ourselves while we're walking down the straight gates, understanding that all the things which you're going to have to go through by being on these straight gates, man. Whether it's losing family members, whether it's losing friends, whether it's just all out chaos around you. Remember that straight gate which the Lord has put you on. Because when it comes down into it, it could lead you into life. And narrow is the way that leadeth unto life. So stay on the straight gates. Alright? And it tells you, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And this is what the Lord's trying to get you to understand. If you can't face the dangers, that you're surrounded with. Because understand, you will be compassed round about, from your enemies. Well, but what? Staying on the straight gates is how you're able to, stay on track, man. Even though a just man falleth 7 times, you get back up and get back on the straight gates, man. Don't fall for the trap to go the broad ways, or for the wide way. Because many there be go that way and, are destroyed, man. All right, but rather stay on the straight gates. Face the dangers that are set before you. That way, when it comes down to it, you're able to receive the inheritance of everlasting life, which in the Lord, yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, promised to those that fear him and that have faith in him. Okay? Like he said, and I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion. And that's something that Israel is going to have to go through. Yasharallah, man. The elect are going to have to go through, walking the straight gates. All right? We're going to have to go through facing the dangers that are set before us. Like the temptation. When you come to serve the Lord, yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, you prepare your soul for temptation. That way you totally understand what you got yourselves into. All right? That way to stay on the straight gates instead of going any other way. Because like the scripture says, you go up any other way, you're a robber or a thief, man. If you don't come through the door, walk the straight gates into the door through yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, you shall be destroyed. And this world here has deceived many. But walking the straight gates, it is, the straight and skinny. The Lord tells you what it is and what it ain't. And what you can do to find life, or what you can do to obtain life. Or you just be destroyed, man, for not following after life. Okay? So 2nd Esdras 8:1. And he answered me, saying, the Most High have made this world for many, but the world to come for few. And I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee that it giveth much mound, whereof earthen vessels are made. But little dust that gold cometh of. Even so is the course of this present world. It's more dirt than gold, man. Right? Because what? The Lord said that very few will be, those fine vessels that are compared to the golden wedge of Ophir. All right? And he said, there be many created, but few shall be saved. And that's the major point right there. Understanding that there's many that are out here that were created in vain. But there are few that shall be saved out of this place to become the remnant of yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi. So you got to stay on the straight gates and believe in what the Lord, yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, is causing you to walk after. Okay? Walk the narrow path. And let the rest of the world, go through the broad way. Because the narrow path is what leadeth into life. So Lord's willing, it's an edifying lesson through the spirit and truth of yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, qadash, shanya kabah, gawala rakwab, zakwanya now ba'aith, shalom. And remember, the straight gates is the way.